How? I started by looking at the life of Comrade, how his birth time and death marked periods in history, and also his coming into political prominence. We cannot understand what is happening with the Nigerian labor movement, trade union movement, as well as socialist movement, without putting this within the global context. In fact, for us as revolutionary socialists, we start from the global, because I mean capitalism is the world system in human history that has fucking molded, pardon my French, the whole world in the image of its god, the mammon of capital. I mean, Comrade Osage was talking there of what our rulers were saying of the impact of IMF on their policy formulation. We have to start from the global context. We're talking of structural adjustment program. It started globally. So starting from the global is not to say we disregard the specific historically established realities on the ground in and of our country. And also it's important that to realize that overthrowing capitalism cannot but be international. Otherwise, these bastards will roll back victory in any one country trying to establish socialism. So what happened in the 1980s with neoliberalism? I don't need to go much into that. At this point in time, I'll be tying them more concretely to the movement, the labor movement, simultaneously at the trade unions and the socialist movement and how they intertwine. And another aspect of the sub-team, the issue of ideologically committed. Let us be clear about what it is. It's just like when I was saying that even the right wing carry out education, even the current leadership in the trade union, they are ideologically committed. It's about what ideology. When they called off the strike, they expressed their ideological commitment when they said that, look, it is because we are ideologically committed to the ideology of collective bargainism. And that is the kind of ideological orientation that we should not only fight against, but be able to present not just alternative in the abstract, because part of the problem is our people will talk so abstractly that we don't connect. We don't connect with the rank and file that we really need to reach out to. And it is in that sense that I think one of the greatest attributes of Comrade Akele was about that, being able to connect. He reminds me a lot of Imodu and the way he run NUPC, like Imodu's National Railway Workers Union of the 1940s. Some authors have described that period that the NRWU was a laboratory for the development of workers' consciousness. So that connection is important. But in the 80s, there was collapse. There was collapse. And when we talk of the trade unions, part of why the trade unions are the way they are is because of how the left itself became what it was. In the 1940s that we mentioned, there was vibrant left life in the trade unions. And as I said, even all these are related to the global, but not in a just simple pari passu kind of manner. You had vibrant life. Writing in 1972 or 74, Peter Waterman said that, look, it wasn't even only in the NTUC. NTUC had 250,000 members. It was the second largest of the 4 trade union centers. Even in the ULCN, which was the moderate, now that's part of why I argue with some people that describe the non-Marxist as right wing. Even in that, you had several Marxists. Writing before him, an American journalist, Richard Mellor, said by his estimates there were no less than 10,000 Marxists in the Nigerian trade union movement. Now, If you take all the Marxists in the Nigerian trade union movement, Marxists were light alive, I am not sure that you will feel a coastal bus. And then if you pack all of them, plus all the other Marxists outside the trade union movement, if you put us inside Molue, there will still be space for Kwerosoko. And that is part of the problem. We expect Lokili to be barking like Rottweiler when we don't give it the body of the Rottweiler. So, you see, there was ideological contestation within, and it was not just about the leadership. It was not just about Wahab Goodluck, Gogo Chuzeribe, Nduka Eze, Eyege, Mayure Yenege, Kolakboti, and so on and so forth. It was from below, about 10,000 Marxists. And how did they go about this? Mass education, regular newspapers. The left, the Socialist Workers and Farmers Party, had a newspaper coming out every two weeks, the Advance. Even the first trade union movement in Nigeria, the first trade union federation, the TUCN formed in 1942-43, first as FTUN in November 42, then changed to TUCN in July 43. They had a newspaper which was coming out monthly, the Nigerian Worker, with a circulation of over 10,000. The colonial government was forced to start censoring it because it was playing a revolutionary role.
You have like 2 minutes more.
Oh, you should have told me the specific time earlier before starting. I thought I had a carte blanche. Well, I don't know how to do it now, but I will just try to put the icing together since, well, the place of education, which I would say entails both general and structured aspects, the place of newspapers, the place also of even more structured ones, like you had institutes there like the Patrice Lumumba Institute, even the moderates, the USA, they had their trade union institute. In the trade union now, it doesn't have an institute, it has schools. I played a key role in building that, the NLC Rail School and Namatan School, but it is not the same thing. We even fought at different stages, when I say fought, debater, to reorient it into the kind of things. But you know, when the hawker who has K-leg, the tray on her head is bent like this, and you say the thing is bent, you say, look at the leg first. It was difficult, if not impossible, to orientate it. So, but the left can have ways and manners of doing this. I'll give an example. With us as the Socialist Workers and Youth League, I'm proud to say at least five trade unions in Abuja. We carry out structured political education for them once a month, so that in every week we are carrying out in one of those trade unions. It is also partly because of our presence in the trade unions in the first place. How do we connect, you know, the leverage on presence of left people in the bureaucracy of the trade union movement with reaching to the rank and file? And it does not just happen. The presence, I'm proud to say, yes, right now in at least 3 major unions, we have general secretaries that are members of the SWL. That does not stop the neck of their centers reaching this, because they become minorities. But it gives us footholds, not only for arguments within the structures of the bureaucracy, but also in expanding the presence of rank and file workers in our organizations, and the influence of our politics and ideas in these unions at rank and file. We have much more members that are branch chair, secretary, treasurer than even those that are at the top. And you know, so you cannot rebuild the trade union movement without rebuilding the left itself. Look at, I mean, the Socialist Workers and Farmers Party I mentioned the other time, it had about 5,000 members. There's not a single left group in Nigeria that has 1,000 members. And even at that, when I say left, I'm talking of call-left groups. But despite that, because of time, I will fast track a number of things. Despite that, there are also a lot of gaps which we should learn from Akele's legacy about. And this includes, I will focus on three things because of time. One, sincerity. Two, humility. Three, score for seizing the time. You see a lot of our trade union on the left. You take 5 yam, you say you take 30. Then when it comes to eating it, there will be the gap of the remaining 25 yam. What am I saying here? You see, out of the connection I said earlier, being able to connect with the rank and file, there are some things that is like smoke or iwa. It smells. How you relate to them, even if you are not in the trade unions. I will give a quick example. I used to, because I think part of why I got into the trade union movement from my very entry into the left, starting with WPLN. I had a working class orientation. Even as a medical student, every week we'll go to workers to factories in Ilorin. And so when I came to Lagos, even though my group hadn't been on ground, I took to going to Shango. I first started with Shango, went to LOP. I worked closely with what's it called? Rotimi Yakub, in the Harbour, Tinkan Island, this and that, and a number of other places. Then we started working. Where am I going to about sincerity? I was using a pseudonym. I won't mention it because I still use it once in a while now. There was a shoe factory in Ota. And this was the time that FLR had a crisis. Peter Asomba on one hand, and so I did not know that the pseudonym I was using was the name of someone on the CWC of the Peter Asomba faction, and these people that I was going to were on the other faction. As I enter faction one, they just closed the door, the gates, that shishi time, that you are a spy. But what was the saving grace was the sincerity with which I had been working with them earlier. This won them even more, after that. So I'm trying to say that even either as trade unionists or from outside the trade unions, either in relation to the workers, which is my main focus, I give that example, or even in relation to ourselves, sincerity is of essence if we are genuine about building, be it the socialist movement or the trade union movement and the labor movement as a whole. Then another one, humility. You see the way some of us on the left will be talking, groups, as if they are already Bolshevik. Almost every group see themselves as the Bolshevik in waiting, and almost every leader of each of these groups see themselves as the Lego, that toy Lego Lenin or Lego Trotsky or Lego Marx self. And you will see people talking with the kind of authority of what Bolsheviks did. Bolshevik, before the February Revolution, Bolshevik had over 24,000 members. You see groups that did not have even up to 24 members talking with that kind of authority, forgetting that, look, practice is the sole criterion of truth. Nobody has the full answers. Just 2-3 minutes now. So the issue of humility, then also the issue of seizing the time. One of the things that distinguished Comrade Akele was that hands-on. Thomas Sankara said that to be a revolutionary, you need to have a certain amount of madness. But it's not just madness, it's also about being able to seize the time. It's not enough to know all the grammar or understand by rote what Marx or what have you said. Independent building, like even during moments like this, independent building, independent action, being able to seize time, provide direction of which leadership is. These are issues that I think need to be also taken on board. Because of time, I would like to more or less round up here. But I'll try to turn in a paper which speaks to some of these things, especially elements that one will have to skip because of time. So in rounding up, I just want to say there's a lot to be done, but three takeaway. One, the problem is not just solely with the trade unions. The problem is also partly, if not largely, with the socialist left. Two, so it's not also just about us. There are global and historical contexts, but it is about us to the extent that we have not been able to get out of it, because that global context touched the whole world. But left groups, left movements in several places have been able to latch on to changing this. There are several reasons for this, a number of which I've touched on, more which I have not been able to do. But we have to be self-critical. Then the third is that our primary orientation has to be to the rank and file, providing education for them with regular papers, structured and general education, and providing direction, and filling our ranks as well with working class presence. We cannot give what we don't have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Comrade. Thank you very much for a very rich presentation. Can we recognize Comrade Achike? I think I saw him a while ago. Comrade Achike, his presence. Thank you very much for coming. And then Comrade Tanko and Baba all the way from Mushi. Okay. And then our comrade from LSDPC. Please, can you just rise up for recognition, please? These are our comrades. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much. Comrade Afiong, are you ready for us now? Comrade Afiong. Hello? I can see Comrade Afiong. Are you ready for us, please? Well, who? Okay. Well, probably we will now go to organizational presentation. Now we have 2 minutes. We have Comrade Debo from Kakol. Comrade Ayodele Akele is also a member of that particular platform. 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm most grateful that this forum was put together, and I thank everybody that has participated in it. First and foremost, I need to thank Lanre Arugundade for that presentation that is really illuminating. And I thank you very much. A lot of respect for the bluntness in Baba Aye's presentation. We have been having discussions with the labor militant people since the middle 80s, even before they became DSM. And this discussion has centered around the 3 elements that Baba Aye listed as part of take-home thing. The first is that humility, the sincerity, and the capacity to actually educate the mass in the language that they understood or they still understand. When we were putting some of these CSOs together in the middle 80s, it wasn't quite successful until when we needed to latch on the detention of Comrade Femi Aborisha, the member of Labour Militant. Before then, it was trade unions, professional bodies like NMA, MBA, NSC, and the rest of them. So when Civil Liberties Organization came in 1987, we believe that they were too elitist because Nigerians, generally, majority of Nigerians were not so educated to
Comrade,
be
can you
able
please speak
to.
up? We need to hear your voice, please. That's your voice.
Okay, sorry. So I'm saying that when civil liberties organization came, middle, that is 1987, we believe that they engaged in litigation and publications. And that was a time when majority of Nigerians were not so interested in all those elitist strategies and tactics. That was a period when Comrade Femi Aborishade was taken in by Babangida regime.
Comrade, can we see your video, please? If we want to see your beautiful face, a handsome face.
Well, I hope it is as handsome as you think it is. So when Femi Aborishade was arrested under Preventive Detention Decree 2 of 1984, every strategy was adopted to get his case to be on the front burner, but we couldn't get anything out of it until we adopted maybe some of these regular strategies. I don't want to use all of those esoteric languages that our friends are used to using, because I criticize a lot of our colleagues then that they exhibited arrogance of ideology. And what I believe we could the people with is humility, even when we are well educated in, this kind of one thing that is lacking up to now at the level of the left is that level of humility. People are not ready to come down to the level of those that they are trying to mobilize. And they forget that these people grew up in an environment where capitalism is the order of the day. And I criticized Toyo Olorode sometimes ago that, look, there's no way you can practice socialism within a capitalist setup. What we needed to work on is to capture the environment where we find it, educate the people in their area of interest. And that was what led to us with Taishola and Eden organizing Ghanaian Solidarity Association, for which we were criticized. It was because people believed in the way Chief Gani Fayemi was carrying on in his own strategy of defending the rights of the people and advocating for good governance.
Hello.
Comrade Tanko, you caused the problem.
Okay, we can't hear you.
I think it's because of the video. You asked him to put on the video.
Well, it's the demand of the people that wanted to.
I know.
Okay. All right, comrade. Okay, probably we'll have to move to another question.
But people.
Hello, comrade. If we can just round up, or we'll just move to another person, please. Hello. Okay. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let us move to other members in the platform. I want to recognize the presence of the senior brother to our lead speaker, Ayo Arogundade, who is seated here with us. Comrade, you are welcome, sir. And then Comrade Malaki Ogwamadu, who is already on the platform too. Please, you are recognized. Please, Comrade Achike is on the floor here. Comrade Achike, maybe you can now address the hall on behalf of JAF, I believe. Yes. We are going to have Comrade Achike on the floor here now. Thank you.
So, comrades, well, I don't think it's a very nice thing to be here to celebrate the departure of one of our so early in the day, because he was still fairly young. And so what that meant was that he still had a lot to give to the movement. But unfortunately, the reality is that nobody is in control of life, the vicissitudes of life, nobody. So it can come at any time. But I think what is critical is how you have lived. You know, and one thing we know, at least those of us in the movement, those of us that have, you know, our own kind of brand of ideological orientation, know that when it comes to the ideas that Akele lived, the ideas that a lot of us believed in, it was first class. Over the years, we have lost a lot of...
Comrade Moderator, is Achike already talking?
Yes. A few of our members, I mean, of the same ideology.
We can't hear a word here.
We have lost those that we looked up to much earlier. Perhaps they were much older than the great Kaneko and me. And we lost Beko. Then we lost people that were still in their prime. Ayodele Akele, all remember. You know, Jim Albani. The other time it was Professor Abubakar Mom from Lagos State University, and so many, and a few others. And then the last that we're still mourning is Akele. But like I said, Akele fulfilled his duties. He fulfilled his obligation as a Nigerian, as somebody from the revolutionary left who did not betray his tradition and where he was coming from. I said some time ago when I was asked to do a tribute. So this is also a tribute I'm doing on behalf of the Joint Action Front, JAF. Of course, if you go through the brochure that has been handed out, you will see the various actions that Akele was involved in. All actions directed at liberating the Nigerian, you know, of liberating this country from the yoke of the Jackals and the Gabons that have held this country down. A country that has been blessed with so much resources and yet wallowing in the depth of poverty. You will see some of the engagements that we had with him when, at the level of the Joint Action Front, some of the actions that we had undertaken, he was always part of it. In the tribute I did in the same brochure, I said something, and I meant it. I said that if there is anybody you want to fight with, anybody you want to engage with, anybody you want to go to struggle with, then you know that in the thick of battle, even when the state is repressing you, whether with the police or the army or whatever, that if you look back and everybody has gone, the only person you see standing by you is Akele. I say it with a lot of passion, with a lot of conviction, because that was Akele for you. He was not fantastic when in terms of his height, but when he spoke, you know that somebody was speaking. When he acted, you know that somebody that is bigger than 10 people put together is standing with you. That was Akele. So I was extremely very proud of him, very, very. But there's something that a lot of people might not have noticed about Akele. And that is that somebody who had achieved what he had achieved in the movement, he might not have had all the monies in the world. But the reality is that those who have all the monies in the world, when you look at them, they have one thing: poverty of the mind. That is why they keep on looting the treasuries of the Commonwealth that belongs to every single person. It is because they are poor in spirit. It is because of the poverty. That is why they keep on doing this. But the reality again, one thing about Akele that I found inspiring, that I learned from, is humility. I think one of the people that was talked about it, Akele was humble to a fault. You disagree with him, he will come to you, he will discuss with you. If he feels that he has done wrongly, he has acted wrongly, Akele will tell you sorry. That is leadership. And that I found very, very humbling. That was Akele for you. So, as we mourn him, we must also remember that even with the current situation in this country today, Akele is with the protesters on the streets of Nigeria in spirit. That is what is fought for. And I'm sure he would have been happy to have seen what is going on today. Because a lot of us have given up hope on this country. And what people will tell you is that maybe Nigeria will get better. Maybe. They're not so. But at the back of their mind, even though they feel that hopefully it will get better, but they will tell you that it is never in their lifetime. I'm sure a lot of us here, even when we discuss about the problems and the tragedies of this country, we realize the fact that a lot of us have given up and we believe that perhaps if this country is going to get better, it is not in our own time, perhaps our children's time. But we're already beginning to see signs that some of the things that we have always wished for, some of the things that we have always hoped for, that we never knew that the lazy Nigerian youths will get up one day, the so-called lazy Nigerian youths will get up one day and will shake the entirety of this country. I went out briefly to take a phone interview because somebody from Ayodele Akele wanted to get my take on. He said that they had banned protests in Abuja, the federal capital territory, and that was what I was responding to. But the reality is that our people are waking up, and they are not going to go back to sleep, no matter what they do to them, no matter how much they repress them. The reality is that even if there's a law of what is happening today, the consciousness has been built already. And they are not going to lose it. It's going to remain in them. For that critical moment, when we are going to get up and push these people who are illegally occupying power in this country, but for that moment where we are going to push them out. So we must keep on building. We must keep on organizing. Because if there is one thing I can say that we owe Akele, it is to continue where he left off. He fought and died a warrior. So we must continue to ensure that we hold the weapons of the world in our sight, and that we continue the fight for the liberation of this country. Akele has gone, he has played his role, he has gone. We are here, we still have a lot to do. So that ultimately at the end of the day, we will say that people like Akele and all the other great comrades I talked about do not die in vain. The capitalists that have occupied political power in this country, it is a matter of time. So if you see the way they are responding, the thugs that they sent to harass protesters yesterday here in Lagos, in Abuja, and perhaps other places, are state sponsored. It is the Nigerian state that is now using thugs against its people. But ultimately, like I have said somewhere else, it has not been known that any government waged a war against its own people and won. Look at all over the country, all over the continent. Are you talking about Egypt? Are you talking about Mali? Are you talking about Tunisia? Are you talking about Sudan? Are you talking about Burkina Faso? Are you talking about, there is no place, there is no government, no political leadership, no matter how corrupt and how repressive, that has ever fought a battle, a war against its own people and won in the long run. They might have temporary victories. Only for that, for those periods that the people are not ready. But the day the people make up their mind that the end has come, and they will face the full fury of the Nigerian people. That day is not far. That day is not far. We are seeing the signs of the streets of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Why was it like that?
Please, please make their comment, please. Okay, down the mic.
The mic, they can hear you. They can hear
You know,
My name is Comrade Mahmoud.
I'm going
from NLC. I want to speak about Akele. We call him popularly in the LNDC. As a right now,